Welcome to it, sports fans. It is the MKT Show, and I am MKT. I'm the person who is the person in the show, right? It is the MKT Show. I'm MKT. That's Gareth Cliff. And it is the 11th of 2021, the first year after 2020. Well done. You made it. It's Monday. Um, Look, I usually do where I was right, where I was wrong. But I thought what I'd do is I'd already predicted the top four for the season. So I think this is the sort of halfway mark of the season, really. Because from now, now there's no excuses and fatigue sort of sets in. So we start to see who teams are. And now the fixtures really pile up. FA Cup, we're ending off the League Cup, but then the European teams have to do it. And then and now we're going to get that sort of Champions League type of setup for everybody. It's going to be weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek. So early season top four, I think I will revise it. So I'll give you my old one, and then I'll give you where I think it'll end up in the end. And then we'll talk about, I think, Australian cricket in terms of the selection have a situation, and it's incredible to me that they drew this game. But I think they have a bigger problem that the Proteas have right now. But we'll get into that. So short and sharp. Most people today, I think probably the South African president is speaking now. So I'll get to that a little bit later. Beauty of YouTube, you can watch things anytime. Like, share, subscribe. MKT Inspires on social media, and it is Cliff Central Sport across the board. Otherwise, Cliff C Sport on the Tweet Monster. Let's get into it. So early season top four, I had predicted City to win it, Chelsea second, Liverpool third, Everton fourth. So that was my early season prediction. That has changed. So as I've been watching the season, that has changed. 1 and 2 have not changed. 3 and 4, however, have changed. So we'll start at number 4. I had predicted Everton for number 4. I think they'll stay there. I think my reasons there is Carlo is good. Carlo knows how to win. He knows how to maintain over a season. He'll be fine. He's a top 4 merchant, and he's got some quality in the squad. James, Digne, Coleman are back now, and they're really starting to hum. I think Calvert-Lewin is going to be huge. So I think they'll be at the very worst top 4. They've got the quality. They've got the manager. They've got 2 of the most important things. And I think Michael Keane, good captain, not great player, but I think they've got the 2 important ingredients in winning is they've got the coach and they've got the captain. Now, can they get some quality in their squad? Can they get James Rodriguez to start firing? Even if he doesn't, I think the rest of the squad's coming together nicely. And remember, they've still got a lad to come back who he's serious. He's serious. I think he might be the best holding mid in the Premier League as it stands. So number 4, Everton, I think that'll stay the same. At number 3, listen, I had Liverpool at 3, but I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see them coming top 4. I see jaded. I see tired. I see Jurgen Klopp acting out. It's not looking good. The pressure's getting real there. And the fatigue, right? It's the fatigue of being really, really good for 2 seasons. It's over. It's over. They're not making top 4. I expect a precipitous fall. Do not think that their last 1-1 draw against West Brom was a fluke, because we've seen it again now. The Aston Villa kids, that was a bunch of 15, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds, and they scored first against Liverpool, and that looked like a tired performance with Sadio Mane and with Mo Salah. I don't like it. So I don't think Liverpool making... My third team is Leicester. I think Leicester know their identity. That helps. Same team, week in, week out. They've got grown professionals, and there's no pressure on them. But I tell you what their key is that Maddison is for real. He's back now. He's fit now. Remember, he'll be getting into his best football now because he was out early in the season with a major injury. Brendan Rodgers managed him terrifically. I think he'll come back in and slot right in. And that combination between him and Vardy, they're going to be a problem for this league. Leicester to come third. I think Liverpool drop out of the top 4. I still think Chelsea are going to come second. It's not because people think I'm biased, but I just think the size of the squad will eventually come through. So you may not like how they look, but the quality, once the teams get worn down, I just think they'll come second purely on the quality in their squad. I mean, if it's not Pulisic, it's Hudson-Odoi. If it's not Hudson-Odoi, it's Ziyech. If it's not Ziyech, it's Mason Mount. If it's, you got Kovacic coming off the bench, you got Giroud coming off the bench, you got Werner to rotate. It's a serious squad. You got Havertz coming off the bench. I mean, you got Aspilicueta as your backup on the right. You got Emerson Palmieri as your backup. You got Rudiger as your backup. You got Christensen to come back. It's a real team, and you expect on the back end of the season, at the very worst that they'll do is get slightly better. They're banging goals third most in the league, and they the third best defense in the league. So they're not conceding, and they're scoring, and they're just going to get into the swing of things. Everyone's getting fit now. It's the size of the squad more than how Chelsea are playing. I just think the quality of the size of the squad, nobody else has that. Liverpool just don't have any backup, right? Jota, that's a problem. So now when Mane or Salah get a knock or anything happens, they have a dip in form. What then? They're not humming. What then? The fatigue is here, and it's a problem. And I think at number one, I can't see City not cruising the league, not winning it, cruising the league. I just can't see it. They got a big squad. They got the best coach, and they still don't have everyone fit. Because Aguero and Jesus are still to come back. And they absolutely obliterated Manchester United with their B team, and they made Chelsea look like children. And that was their B teams and both teams, because Aguero is still the difference maker. He's still the X factor. He hasn't kicked the ball in anger all season. Listen, they get him right, let's just say by March. 10 good games of Aguero, right? He's the best arguably right now, the best in the world when fit. And then you rotate him and you bring in Jesus, who, I'll say it again, he's the second best striker in the Premier League. He's Brazil's number 9. I don't care what anybody says. You are not Brazil's number 9 if you're not high-end quality. So for me, listen, I had City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Everton as the top 4. It's had to change. I've seen enough of Liverpool. They're done. So for me, it's going to be City, Chelsea, Leicester, Everton in that order. City will win the league. Chelsea will come second. Leicester third. Everton will come fourth. They'll be Merseyside's team. I've seen enough. And Liverpool fans won't like it, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Love to hear what your top 4 is. sport@cliffcentral.com, by the way. Otherwise, I am MKT Inspires on the socials. MKT Inspires. Otherwise, Cliff Central Sport, Cliff C Sport on Twitter. All right. Well, if you didn't get up like me this morning, just because I get up at a ridiculous hour, caught some of the cricket, some of the NFL this morning as I was getting ready for work, and came in. Of course, we start in what the Scottish call the wee ma ears. The wee ma ears. If you didn't catch Australia this morning, I thought to myself after they drew a ridiculous test match, which they should have won easily. After seeing that result and reading a few articles and having a look at how it went I've always thought, and I continue to think this, is the hardest problems in life the hardest problems in life to solve are your own problems, like problems that you created, right? Is I drink too much. I'm overweight. I'm fighting with my mom and I was the problem. I've been on this end of things. So I can talk to this. Is the hardest problems are always the problems you created, because everyone else's problems are always easier to solve, right? Like, oh, well, her boyfriend's this. Why doesn't she just break up with him? His girlfriend's this. Why doesn't he just break up with her? Like, oh, she's a little bit overweight. Like, it's easier to solve other people's problems, right? But when you solve your own problems, my God, it's murder. Because it's not theoretical. You actually have to do it. And I've said this before. Men are terrible. They're worse. I mean, it's close, but I would say from my experiences, women are just better at moving on, right? Like, I made a bad decision. Let me get out of here. Men are terrible, and I think it's an ego thing. It might be the patriarchal model. I'm not a psychoanalyst. There could be a litany of issues as to why men egotistically, most of admitting you're wrong is mostly tied to ego. And generally, the way we've been bred as men is our ego so much of who we are. It's not necessarily our true identity, but, bravado and, the idea of hypermasculinity is just, even if you're wrong, just go with you're right. And, Australia need to admit something, is they made a huge mistake. They made a cataclysmic mistake. And this is why when you're at your worst point in life, don't ever make bad decisions. Don't ever make bad decisions. And Australia made a really big decision after Sandpaper Gate. And if you break up with somebody, you should never marry somebody a month later. Like if you break up from a 10-year marriage, don't marry someone a month later, because you're not doing it from a logical side. Like you'll be right, is people are raw, they're vulnerable. This is what happened to Australia. Sandpaper Gate, boom, Tim Payne, he's honorable, he says the right things, he's PC culture, blah, 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 blah. He's all the things you want to tick a box. And I've said it before, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, is he ticks all the boxes, he's a grown-up, says the right thing. But ultimately in team sport, that's a pretty fast-burning fuel if you're not good enough to be in the team. So Australia made a huge mistake, is they got out of a bad relationship with Steve Smith, but they married a guy which they wouldn't have looked at if they weren't in a raw, vulnerable situation. The problem with Tim Payne is he's not good enough to be in the team. He's not a very good wicketkeeper by international standards, right? Forget the drops this weekend. He's never been at that level. High character guy, yes. Like marketable, yes. Gonna say the right things, yes. I like that about him. He's grown up, yes. Ticks all those boxes. But at this level, you've got to be good enough to be in the team. And the one thing you cannot have is have the captain not be good enough to be in the team. Tim Payne does not have a Test 100. He plays an Australia team and does not have a Test 100. But let me tell you what compounds the fact that he's not good enough. Is that Matthew Wade, who bats at number 5, also isn't good enough, but is a better keeper. Definitely a better wicket keeper than Tim Payne. The problem is that he's got 400s, but he's also got a 30 batting average. You cannot have your number 5 have a 30 batting average. I'm sorry, not in Australia. Because who batted 5 was Steve Waugh, and he's the third highest scoring Australian of all time with an average of 52. So if you're batting at 5, you must have a 40 average. I'm sorry. So what they've got is 2 guys that aren't good enough. And here's what that does. It means Marnus Labuschagne, right, or Steve Smith have to be sublime every innings. And that just isn't reasonable. It just isn't reasonable. It's not sustainable. It's okay while Smith is hot. It's okay while Marnus Labuschagne is scoring ridiculous runs. But like yesterday or in this previous test, you're going to need the guys to come through, neither Wade. Because what they really should have done in the first innings was made 550. In end, it was 338, and they probably should have batted once and bowled twice and rolled India out, giving themselves an extra day to bowl them out. Folks, it's just, I'm sorry, you cannot have T-Pain. And I know because of a bad relationship, you'll take the first guy or girl who even looks in your direction. I tell you, listen, if they look at your next door property, you don't even live on that property, and you'll take it. Bad divorce. Oh my God, he left me. Oh my God, he cheated on me. Any guy who shows you attention, boom, you're in. Oh no, he's a terrible guy. Oh well, at least he's not the last guy. And that's where Australia are now. Matthew Wade, I'm sorry, if he's Temba Bavuma, right? He doesn't give you anything, and he averages 30 with the bat. So he doesn't give you anything else, and 30 with the bat. Sean Pollock averaged 30 with the bat. Vernon Philander was just below 30 with the bat. I can't have Matthew Wade batting at number 5. Number 5 needs to average, in my ideal team, you want to play a 6-4 split, you've got to average at least 42, 43 with the bat. At least for you to bat 5, especially in an Australian team. So I can't go with that. Here's what Australia need to do. Swallow the bitter pill. And I know for men, this is horrible. I'm a man. I know. I hate admitting it. And I make at least 10 mistakes a day, and I never admit it. Right? As a man, I know it's terrible. My ego. Australia, you've got to drop one of Wade. You got to drop one of T-Pain. The honest truth is you really need to drop Tim Payne, because Wade's a better keeper. And he's got 400s. So he can do it. What you do is Wade should be batting 7. And then what you do is you play an extra all-rounder, or you play an extra batsman, a raw batsman, a Marsh or Usman Khawaja. And Khawaja's shown, I think he probably isn't a 3 or 4 at the test level. Bat him at 5. You drop Wade to 7, and then you can figure out 6. But this isn't going to work because you got two average guys, and really what you're doing with Wade and Payne is you're filling one slot, and that can't work at test level. You cannot babysit at test level. Provincial level, okay, they can bat 5, 6, 4, doesn't matter. At this level, it ain't gonna cut it. Just be big enough. Tim Payne, you know what we needed? We needed a PR exercise after Sandpaper Gate. Okay, Australia, everything's plateaued now. Smith's back. Just move on. Just move on. They won't do it because of PC culture. I think this is when you need a strong leader, right? Like the reason you need strong leadership, especially in business, right? Elon Musk constantly taking flack. Why are you going to the moon? Why are you doing this? The leaders at the top of the corporate world need to be able to take some flack. They need to be able to take flack. That's why you pay them $2, $3, $4 million a year. Just get rid of Tim Payne. Get rid of Matthew Wade. One of them's got to go. They have to go now. They have to go. Because I tell you what else it does, and I'll finish off on this. You're putting too much pressure on an awesome bowling lineup. Like, okay, for the first time in probably a year, this Australian bowling lineup wasn't perfect. And they tried, but T-Payne dropped what? 3 catches? Can't work with that. They tried, and Tim Payne couldn't make what? 150 in the first innings? Matthew Wade couldn't make a century in the first innings? Because they had India down. India's injured. India's got 2 losses, by the way. They had them. But the batting had to be perfect because in Wade and T-Payne, you get nothing. I can't have 30 averages for both guys. 130 average, who's batting 7, I can tolerate. Both of them, and then my bowling has to be perfect all the time, or Labuschagne and Smith have to be perfect all the time. I'm sorry, you're babysitting 2 guys. 1 we can babysit at 7. 2, it's too much. But it's men. Admit you made a mistake. Australia, you've done the PR exercise. Stop bending to PR culture. Smith is fine. He made a mistake. People make mistakes. Like, you know what? Here's the thing in life. It's called production versus tolerance. We all do it. I know we get sanctimonious. We all think we're holier than thou. We all do it in our personal lives. If somebody is better looking and they're your girlfriend, you're going to put up with more. Girlfriend, boyfriend, people just put up with more, right? We do it in our own lives. If people are better looking, we just put up with more. We just do. I don't know what it is. You know, I've read a few studies. We trust them more, blah, blah, blah. But if somebody's good looking, you know what it is? It's called production versus tolerance. Steve Smith, average-wise, is the second greatest batsman of all time. He's the greatest batsman of his era. Right, he is. Now, like, I mean, 62 over, what's your now? 5,000 plus runs, 5,700, I think. When you've got a 62 average over that, it's called production versus tolerance. How much you produce means it will tolerate that. Because that's what Australia showed you. Because really what Australia should have done, and that's what they did to the other young lad who they actually gave the sandpaper to, in Warner and Smith, it's like, guys, you're so good. Because I think Warner's the best test batsman in the world. I think he's the only real opening batsman left in test cricket. And in Smith is their production means we'll tolerate more. Now, if Warner and Smith's production starts to drop, the one thing in life, if your good-looking girlfriend or boyfriend starts to gain a bit of weight, starts to, I don't know, drink too much, starts to embarrass you, you know what you do? You let them go. Because what's the one thing that's true in all life, by the way? The best salesman at work, he's going to get a little bit more. He comes in with a hangover on Monday, but he delivers the numbers for the last 18, 24 months. The manager goes, all right, you're getting me my Christmas bonus. The one thing we do in life is we will tolerate more. Tell you what happens is if the production drops, is tolerance will never be above production. Let's get it clear. It's a production tolerance world, and it's across the board. It's not just sport. And if you're honest with yourself, you might on Twitter say, oh, Smith is unacceptable. But really, you do it in your own life. Your good-looking girlfriend who maybe drinks a little bit too much and is maybe actually an awful person and doesn't get along with your friends and she's a bit controlling, but my goodness, she's good-looking. Or ladies, your boyfriend, he's got the six pack. So, you put up with that a little bit more. Is, he's controlling or he's lazy, but oh my goodness, with the shirt off next to the swimming pool, he looks a certain way. You just put up with more. We do it in our own lives. So don't get sanctimonious. It's production versus tolerance. Australia need to move on from Tim Payne. You've gotten over the sandpaper gate now. We're all over it. People make mistakes. We're all reasonable. Smith's unbelievable. Labuschagne's unbelievable. Warner's unbelievable. Make one of them your captain. Move on with this thing. Tim Payne's not good enough to be in your team. Either Wade or Payne. But get over it now. PC culture, whatever. The role of the leaders of Australian cricket is to put up with the flack, put the best players on the field. And by the way, let me just finish off on this. It's great for cricket when people hate Australia. Just lean into the character. Lean into it. Like, nobody likes Australian cricket anyway. For me, lean into it. Like, if you're into, I used to be into wrestling when I was younger, the heel side. I say lean into it. Like, who cares what India and South Africa think? Go win more World Cups. Right? Like, one thing I am not in life is a moralist. I'm not a moralist. Like, real life happens somewhere in the gray, right? I'm not a moralist. I'm not going to sit here and be holier than thou. I'm not. I've made too many mistakes in life. And you know what? I've just come to accept in life, if you're talented, we'll put up with more. That's just the way the world is. And stop looking for sportsmen to be your role models. Go and look for nurses and mothers, single mothers that put 3 kids in school. They're the real role models. Listen, Tiger Woods, I don't care. Come back. I want you to play golf. That's all I care about. All right? I'm like, please. Let's not be moralists. Steve Smith's unbelievable. He's fine. Labuschagne and Warner, they're great. Leave them. Payne, you're becoming a Payne. That's what I'd say. I'm not a moralist. I'm over sandpaper gate. I was at the game, by the way, down in Cape Town. And I'm pro-tier diehard, and I do not like Australians. I mean, the people are fine, but I just, I'm South African. But don't be a moralist. Be whatever you want to be, but I'm not a moralist. I'm over sandpaper gate, and social Australia. Lean into the antagonist character. That's who you are. Didn't we love, as much as you got to love to hate Australia. The 90s, the noughties. Every movie is great. Why? Because there's a protagonist and antagonist. Right? Batman needs the Joker. Australia is the Joker. They are the antagonist. Lean into that. Stop trying to be PC. We know what we all know what Smith is now. And we're cool with it because you know why? He's going to make 150 every 3 innings. And we're like, awesome. Holy smokes. Tiger Woods, we know what he did. Do you know what? Like, we're going to watch him rip 300-yard drives and come back and, I don't know, break course records at the age of 40. It's impossible. We love that. We love a comeback story. Come on. But what I won't tolerate is Australia not willing to say they made a mistake. All right, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. MKT Inspires on social media, Cliff Central Sport, Cliff C Sport on the Tweet Monster. Otherwise, send me an email, sport@cliffcentral.com. Sport@cliffcentral.com. Take this one comment and we will get out of here. Cameron Booth, what is going on? Says, hi, MKT. Great to be able to watch the show again. What a great test with Oz and India. Couldn't agree with you more. Cameron, I'll tell you what I'll do, because there's been a lot of people that gave Pujara heat. I'll talk about that tomorrow and why Test cricket is king. Couldn't agree more with you, Cameron. Great to see you watching the show again. By the way, Cameron, there are going to be some changes and we're going to get you to interact a little bit more. I think Cameron is in the United Kingdom, Cameron, if I was correct. I think you were somewhere. Yeah, you were. I think you were in the UK. Correct me if I'm wrong there. So plenty of changes to come, a lot more interaction to come on the show. You'll start to see things ramp up a little bit within the next month and a half. We're working really, really hard to get that going. So Cameron, great to have you back, dude. Great to have Cameron Booth back. Cameron, love to know what you think. MKT Inspires on Twitter. Otherwise, I'm MKT Inspires on all social media. Otherwise, hey, if you love Test cricket as much as I do, what do you think of world cricket? Whatever it may be, Cameron, let me know where you are. What you enjoy, what you don't enjoy. I'm also, I like to think I'm a grown-up, because you know what I do is I pretend to be tough in public, as all grown-ups have to be, but then we all cry into our pillows at home alone, because I think that's what all adults should do. Like, be emotionally repressed and look tough in public, but actually you cry into your own pillow when you get home, when people give you feedback about your clearly flawed character. So, Cameron, looking forward to some feedback, whatever it may be. Great to have you back. Test cricket is king. I'll talk about it tomorrow. Cameron Booth, great to have him and all of you back, by the way. I'm MKT. MKT Inspires social media. This is Gareth Cliff, who is physically distant and may look like some people say he's a wax model, but for those of you watching on YouTube, that's actually Gareth Cliff. And I'm MKT. This is the MKT Show, Cliff Central Sport. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been Monday the 11th of January, 2021. It has been an honor for tonight. You could have been anywhere with anybody. You chose to be with me. It has been an absolute pleasure. But for now, I am out of here. He is the hell out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.